Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspectives podcast. This is part two of our series on Cover Desk. On today's show, we have Andy Priesman, Kelsey Tenalian, and Brad Kaplan. Everyone, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In case you missed part one of our series on Cover Desk, please go back to hear more from Andy. For part two, we turn to a mutual customer of HawkSoft and Cover Desk to learn how Cover Desk is used in a real independent agency. Brad Kaplan is the president and CEO of Kaplan Insurance Agency. Brad opened the agency in 2006. He's an experienced agency leader with a demonstrated history working in the independent insurance industry. Kaplan Insurance Agency joined HawkSoft in October 2007. With 30 years of experience in the insurance industry, Brad created Kaplan Insurance Agency with a focus on superior service, always having the customer in mind. Brad, it's great to have you here. I'm looking forward to chopping it up and hearing everything about Kaplan and Cover Desk. To start, why don't you just tell us a little bit about the agency?
Thank you for the intro. Our agency right now is about 18 million in premium. We have commercial lines and personal lines department. So we're about 55% personal lines and 45% commercial. We call our departments PAMs and BAMs. So if you hear me say that, that's the PAMs are personal account managers and the BAMs are business account managers. So we have the PAM department, BAM department. Right now in the PAM department, we have four PAMs in there, and a team lead. But we are hiring right now just to create capacity. I think that they're handling things just great. We want to create some capacity for growth. So we are on the hunt right now for another PAM in that department. And then we have two fantastic VAs from Cover Desk, Teen and Jem. And, we don't really use the term VA here internally because our whole staff is virtual. I'm in the office and there's another, and we have a producer here in the office, but everyone else is all over the country and then in the Philippines. So everyone's virtual. So we, Jem and Teen, we'd refer to as CSRs. To differentiate between the account manager, which is a licensed person that's client facing, and the CSR, which are professionals from Cover Desk. Our personal lines department, we do have a particular niche in high net worth, and we do it all. But we work with a lot of financial planners, and that's really where my focus has been over the years, and developing a real pretty robust high net worth specialty there. In the commercial lines department, we are generalists. We do write everything, but we have a couple of particular niches. One is kind of interesting, which Jeff Danofsky was the brainchild of this years ago, and that's our theater program, which he coined the red carpet program. Not movie theaters, but performing arts. Theater, performing arts, of Broadway plays and things like that. And it's pretty remarkable. I think we're now the largest insurer. There aren't any agencies that have more theaters insured than we do in the country. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Jeff,
how did you fall into that? That's a really unique niche.
Well, Jeff is a huge fan of theater. His kids have been in theater and performing arts all, through their lives. My family has always been a supporter of theater and the arts and performing arts. I grew up with my mom taking us to shows and plays and things like that, and orchestra and all of it. Really, Jeff brought this idea, and he started with a couple of local community theaters and really grew it from there. He's been on the board of directors, and he's really become the industry expert. He flies around the country. He's given a lot of presentations. We're at many conferences, theater specific, and really it's been pretty remarkable. He kind of is the leader in the country right now. And so we built the department up, that section of our commercial lines department up to support Jeff in that endeavor.
After 30 years being in the business, tell me what keeps you interested about the insurance space.
It's been 20 years, not 30.
Oh,
So,
wow. Okay.
so,
My bad.
um, yeah. I still like to grow. I still, I have this idea to double or triple the size of the agency, even though, I'm 58 and I've got friends who are starting to try and retire, and I'm still interested in growth and just like Andy, and we're personal friends too. So Andy and we talk about these things, and you and I are friends outside of this. I right now have spent uh, quite a bit of time coaching our PAMs into coverage. It's things they've never heard of before or thought of before, and they seem maybe like easy things to me, but I know it's not common, and they're getting a lot out of it, and I'm getting very good feedback there. In the commercial lines department, I mean, Jeff does such a good job with this red carpet program that now my brain is, where could we take this now? If we can just add some staffing and capacity and really leverage those relationships. So I think those are the things that have me excited.
What are the biggest challenges for your agency?
I think being remote presents some challenges,
Mhm.
but there's challenges if everyone were here in the office as well, right? So
Yeah.
every business has a struggle. We do pride ourselves on being, having a very good virtual online culture. We created a Teams channel called Shenanigans, and people are on there in the morning saying good morning or posting inspirational things or funny things or pictures and
Yeah.
this and that. So it's like a virtual break room.
Yeah.
I have a neat idea I haven't rolled out yet or even told anyone, but I'm going to create another one of those virtual break rooms, which is going to be a health and wellness channel.
Oh,
um, because here in the office, Jeff and I are here, and I have a lot of gym equipment. You've seen it here.
yeah. Yeah.
We have a bar to hang on. I have a little trampoline in the office, and things like that. So we have a little timer, and every hour we have to get up and do something, an exercise
Mm.
snack, even if it's just for 2 minutes.
Nice.
And so I want to encourage that to my staff and teams. So that might be if I had to say what's a challenge, another one is that the producers right now, the main growth engine are me and Jeff,
Mm.
and I'm trying to get myself out of so much management so that I can do what I really like and I'm good at, which is go be a rainmaker and get Jeff out doing that. And right now I'm bogged down a lot. And
Yeah.
we've tried the producer route, um, and with varying levels of success. But as you know, not everyone can do this
No.
because we're not providing leads. You got to go find the business, and that's just not something that everyone can do.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Transitioning over to Cover Desk a little bit. Tell me when you were first looking for a solution, how were you introduced to VAs in general? Because you've had Cover Desk, I think, since 2020, which is a long time, and that was still relatively early in the whole VA boom, if you will. Um, so tell me what you were looking for and why you chose Cover Desk.
Andy is the reason.
Yeah.
I think I met Andy in Vegas, right? At a conference. I don't remember where.
I
And
It was like the
I,
HawkSoft conference, probably.
yeah, I think so. And I had, I like to be an early adopter of technology and things like that and try and be cutting edge. I had been looking around and toying with this new VA idea that, was kind of a new thing back then.
Yeah.
And I talked to several different outfits, competitors of Andy. And Andy and I got to talking and realized we had a lot in common and a lot of personal life in common. And he invited me out to dinner, and that friendship and relationship grew, and he really encouraged me really strongly and said we can do this, and I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
He taught me about how good it can be, um, held my hand the whole way, and it's been fantastic.
What types of work are your CSRs, as you say? What are they doing for you, for your agency?
We started with one person that we thought might do everything, and as we we have the PAM and BAM department. We don't have people that are doing both. We believe in specialization. I like that. And it's why I don't have CSRs and producers all in one role, because people are wired differently. And I understand that. We originally thought we would have the CSR VA doing all of the processing and quoting and things. And I realized, no, maybe this is two different jobs. And Andy really encouraged me. It was scary, I will say, because I didn't know anything about it. But he really, lovingly and coached me along and helped me decide to just go for it. So, and what was pretty interesting is that, with Kelsey and her side of things helping facilitate the onboarding, one thing that Andy and Kelsey didn't talk about is they don't just give you someone and say, here's your person. We pick the person. They give you 10 people and they say, here's 10 resumes. Who do you want to talk to? All of them? Okay, here you go. And here's their assessments. Here's what they're all about. We get on a call and they help facilitate the thing. And what I learned was, which is kind of interesting, and it took a while for me to figure out what questions to ask. But I finally realized, hey, because they're taught all of this stuff at Cover Desk, but Jem really likes quoting and hates the processing. And Teen really likes processing and hates the quoting. And I was like, interesting. All right, I'll take one of each, and that's what we did. So what do they do? So Jem does the quoting. So we have intake forms, new business intake forms. I'll put it in HawkSoft and I'll set a task for her. And I'm very clear, I'll say, please quote every carrier in Easy Links and finalize the cheapest home auto package with both $1 and $2 million umbrella. Alert Brad when done. That'll be my task. And she'll go do it. And then she'll send me a Teams message. I finished the Brad Boldt deal, and then I'll go in HawkSoft and I'll look at it. And then I might task her back to change this or that, or I might run with it or whatever. So she's doing the quoting. She does remarkets. Our PAMs, if they identify that, for rate or client request or some reason, they'll task her to remarket an account. Teen is handling process changes, doing EOIs for mortgage companies, adding cars, basically anything on the processing side of things. And we're sort of growing her role now because she's so great. She's so good. And I think she's so eager to learn and wants to do more. I said, hey, would you be willing to take on a project? And she, yes, tell me. I'm like, okay, I want you to go to this company and find out any car that doesn't have full glass coverage on there. And, and then we're going to go at it. Or I'll give her little projects and things like that. Can you call the carriers and find out what the deal is with their roof? How old, because we have 15 carriers with 15 different roof rules. Right. So she's doing things like that too. It's really neat.
What I emphasize to our our VAs is just that the impact. I like to communicate with the impact what they have on what our operation is, because even something like that seems like a tedious back end job, how important and helpful is, and I think that just helps them with their job satisfaction and understand that they are part of the team. What they're doing is important. When you started, how did you onboard them to the rest of your team and to what type of work they were doing?
So here I have to give a lot of credit again to Cover Desk because, I've had so many agency owners tell me that they think they can go find someone and it's cheaper and all that. And I just tell them, are you crazy? You want to go figure out how to do this and pay someone in another country? And the thing is that Cover Desk is more than just figuring out the pay. They train them, they figure out their technology. Cover Desk is a full-blown IT desk. They teach the person how to use the password manager. We use LastPass. Maybe they use RoboForms. They know all of this stuff. They set up their computers. They do all of the tech. I don't have to do it or pay my IT people to try and figure out their systems. It was particularly difficult when HawkSoft was our in-house server based, and we had to create a VPN and use remote desktop. Now we don't have that issue, but the HawkSoft is, or Cover Desk is managing the whole thing, soup to nuts, to the point where, this is how cool it is. All of our people have 3 monitors. I believe strongly in that. And one day, months ago, I don't know how I figured it out, but I was like, wait a minute, Teen, how many monitors do you have? She says 2. I'm like, 2? We got to get you 3. I send a note over, and like within 2 days, she's sending me a note. Thank you for the extra monitor. Wow. They just made it happen. They just make it easy. So how did I onboard them? They handle all that, and we get them, all the regular login situation, and then we help them. We have in LastPass, which is our password manager, a set of credentials that are shared. That was back then. Nowadays, it's all individual with 2-factor authentication. So we get all set up, and if the 2-factor thing is an issue, Cover Desk just manages it all for us, and then we get them going.
How would you say your licensed team and you benefit from having these VAs, CSRs on your team?
I think the main benefit is, and even after all these years, I'm still learning, and Andy's still encouraging me, give us more. And that's how the bookkeeping started, which I want to touch on. But I want my account managers, I want the PAMs to be doing the licensed highest level work, which is the account reviews and the discussing coverage and the cross-selling. Hey, I noticed you have a $2 million umbrella. We want you to have 5. You don't have an umbrella. You should have one. Discussing, things like, oh, you have a nanny. It's not just adding the nanny to the auto. We need to get you a work comp policy too. So the account managers are doing that. And if they're bogged down creating evidence of insurance for the mortgage company, they don't have time to have those conversations. So that's really where it's at. It's really where it's at. And we scaled up at a point where we had a carrier going out of the market, and we had to remarket like $1.5 million in premium. Then I raised the white flag to Andy. I'm like, help. And we got another person doing quoting for that period of time. And that was a year. And that we requoted everything. And then that was done. And now we're back to, the one person we have.
For someone who is considering adding on a VA, why would you suggest that they work with Cover Desk?
Well, I can't speak highly enough about the team. They just so responsive, but mostly there's a lot of training on their end, as Andy alluded to in the last podcast, part 1. They really do spend quite a considerable amount of time, a month or something or more, learning so many of the fundamentals, and then in the nesting period, where they have those other subject matter experts and managers to lean on. So we don't have to spend so much time. They even train them a little bit on HawkSoft. They're coming in. I hate the term plug and play, because no one's plug and play, right? No. I can't come to your place and be plug and play. No. And so there's always going to be some training, some onboarding. Well, we do it this way. You were trained that way. But the fundamentals are there. The very basics are there. They do that. I know that they do some. So I'd have to go ask this question to 7 other companies to compare, but I can tell you what these guys do. They treat their VAs so well. They give them, when there was a typhoon, Brad, I found out they're bringing in beds for them to sleep in the office, because they have no means to get to their homes. And that's the kind of employer they are. They're doing that stuff. They have parties and get-togethers. They have serious recognition. They're doing things by the book, whether it's health insurance, retirement accounts. I mean, their people are well taken care of. And so I want to support that. I want to be involved with a company who's got that level of care and consciousness about their people, because then they want to keep working there, and that way we keep them working for us. So it's just, I can't imagine any other arrangement.
Pretty good endorsement. That's just like us, right? In terms of, if we take good care of our people, there's a better likelihood they're going to take good care of our clients. It's the same thing for them. If they're taken care of well, they're going to take care of their clients, which is us.
Right,
So
right.
yeah, good comparison. Hey, I want to back up a little bit. I kind of glossed over this. So you are using kind of another service of CoverDesk with the accounting management. Talk about that a little bit.
We were in Mexico and sitting there and talking business, and he's, what are your pain points? He knows me, very, very well, and I'm constantly talking about the accounting, the bookkeeping, and he's like, he said something like, "Well, what if we were to do that for you?" And I don't know if Andy, our department was fully built out, or if you were just getting the idea, or do you remember? But you said something.
Yeah, I think we were built out, but maybe not as much for HawkSoft as maybe a couple other systems. But
Oh, okay, maybe that was it. That
yeah,
was it. Yeah, yeah. And I said, man, this would save me not just time, but just so much energy. He could see how dejected I was because I had trained one bookkeeper after another. And it's not sure anyone can balance your books or reconcile your account in QuickBooks. I mean, that's just basics. But then to be able to do the HawkSoft piece and then put the two things together. And so we started there. And Andy told me that we'll start with the commission reconcilers, right? I think the piece that I pushed to add was more like, how about do all of our accounts payable? How about and I wanted to add some extra pieces. He said, let's talk about that. So we brought in some of his, upper level finance people, and they said they listened to what my real pain points were. And we just started down the path, and I jumped in, and now I have Kathleen, and it's like, I've reclaimed,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe 15 hours of my month back.
Wow.
And I don't know what I'd do without her.
What do you have? What is she doing for you?
Um, we've added it little by little, because I learned
Yeah.
in the past I would say, here's the whole thing, and
Yeah.
it's a lot too much. So we started with little pieces of managing the bank feeds in QuickBooks, and then how to categorize things. Then we added the HawkSoft commissions, and then we added accounts payable, so she's paying her bills, and how we do that in QuickBooks. We're just adding more and more and more. And now she's doing 95% of the job. The last 5% I plan to add this month, which is just some extra little things on top of the trust accounting, the agency bill stuff that I already taught her last month.
That's a lot. How long has she been with you?
I think we started in January, so January,
Okay, so not
February,
long.
March, April. Yeah,
That's
this is the 5th month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, and I'll say Brad is very specific about his accounting needs, and so I feel like if we could handle work successfully with Brad, we can help anyone. And he's kind of the pilot, the beta, not really beta, but on the HawkSoft. Like he's really the reason I think why we can be successful in HawkSoft. Like our people know what they're doing. They're accounting people, but I think Brad has really helped us in that area. So
yeah, one thing too to add to it is like, look, Brad's got this person who is doing all of this on the accounting end, but for those groups that maybe don't have a full-time accounting need and just need 20 30 hours of support on a monthly basis, or maybe even less than that, we're set up for that. So like that, it's worth a conversation to at least figure out where you potentially could use some help, because our team can take on. You don't have to bring on anybody full time. We have the ability to just take over a certain amount of hours with a low monthly commitment. So definitely want to point that out.
Yeah.
Wow. That's something I would think would be very, very popular. Brad, tell me one thing that that you would change about CoverDesk, if you could.
I'll tell you. You know what? The one thing I would change, but Andy's solving it, is that we do pride ourselves on having a very strong culture, an agency culture. And because we're all remote, because they're in the Philippines, I'm a hugger. I want to go over and hug them. And so it would be nice to be able to have an in-person meeting and lunch and schmooze and that. But just this morning, Andy offered generously to fly me and my entire staff all to the Philippines and meet everyone. So I'm looking forward to that, Andy.
You've
Wow.
been invited every year, Brad, to the Philippines. You can go whenever you'd like. I'm probably in June, so if you'd like to come, you're more than welcome to. So
I
we'd love
know, I
to have
know.
you.
So yeah, I mean,
We can find a beach in the Philippines. Doesn't have to be Mexico, right?
that's right. That's right. Okay.
Last question for you today. Um, what advice do you have for fellow agents to, they're looking for a VA or how they can best utilize their virtual assistant?
If they're not using one, I would say just put your toe in the water. The risk is not that high. You're not buying a Ferrari for your 16-year-old that just got their license and hoping for the best. The investment is completely reasonable. And I got encouragement in this before meeting Andy, and that's kind of what set me on the path, from a client that owns an alarm company, nothing to do with insurance. And she has a person, and she said, just give them one thing to do. And even if they're sitting there for 30 hours a week with nothing, Brad, trust me, you'll think of something. You will eventually fill up their schedule with stuff can't even think about right now. And so I would say the best advice I can give someone is to just call Kelsey and start. Just call Kelsey and start, because it's a low bar, as far as it's not a lot of energy and work to try it, and it's an easy thing, and you'll start adding more and more, and then you'll probably call for another person.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here again and spending time with us. Great episodes, and I enjoyed the conversations for sure.